All right. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So I have Nicole and Alexis here in studio in Dallas.
Hello, I am Alexis.
I'm Nicole. We sound the exact same.
Yes, but we're so excited to be here, and we're so excited you're in town.
I know. Even if just for like 24 hours.
Exactly.
I'm happy to be back. I have to go to my storage unit and get a bunch of stuff, like all my winter clothes. I'm like, damn it. But I wanted Nicole and Alexis to come on because they started a company called Après Hours. Can y'all tell us a little bit about your company, your product?
Of course.
So Après Hours is a ready-to-drink espresso martini. We have 3 flavors. Our classic, which Payton's currently sipping on. Our
So
salted
bomb.
caramel, which Alexis and I are currently sipping on. And then you can't forget vanilla.
Yeah, classic.
They are all gluten-free and dairy-free, 10% alcohol. So we may be tipsy by the end of this. And they also have a shot of
I hope I
espresso.
We're going to be on a high. I am like an espresso martini psycho. So I don't want to say I started the espresso martini trend, but years ago
she did.
in LA, a lot of my friends, we're just coming right out, a lot of my friends did like a lot of drugs. So when we
Yeah.
go out, if there's like nights I'm like, I'm not going to do this, you know, I would have espresso martinis and I would outlast them partying. Like
Exactly.
you don't have to go back for a second, you know, of anything.
Yep.
I would have 2 or 3 espresso martinis and I would be out until 4 or 5.
There you go.
And it
I mean,
was-
it's the perfect pick-me-up.
It's more effective,
Wake
honestly.
me up and fuck me up.
I was ready to go. And so I got obsessed with them and I would post them all the time. And I have a highlight from a couple years ago of people going to try espresso martinis and like tagging me in their
I love
photos,
it.
which is like the coolest thing to influence ever. You're like, I influenced someone to go sit down and like get a little tipsy with their friends. But I had this like crazy long highlight of people being like, I didn't even know this was a thing. And it came at the perfect time because there was like the resurgence of the espresso martini.
Exactly.
And then everyone like started drinking them all at the same time. I think we're all just on the same wavelength,
We
Yeah.
really are.
you know?
I mean, we thought of this idea of starting a canned espresso martini
Mhm.
probably a year and a half ago, but we were obsessed with them
Yes.
a year before that. But then when COVID hit, we were like, where are our espresso martinis?
Mhm.
It's hard to make at home.
I tried.
I tried.
Mhm.
Absolutely cannot.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an espresso machine, but it was not it.
Mm-mm.
And
It also
especially
took way too long to
Yeah.
make just 2.
Yeah.
yeah.
Convenience is important
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
Not like we were doing anything in quarantine. We had nowhere to go, but like I still wanted things to be
Yeah.
convenient.
It's like I had a glass of
Exactly.
wine at like 3 p.m., but I'm like, where's my espresso martini?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I
They're
mean,
so important.
literally during quarantine, our Friday activity, because everything was shut down, we would go to our favorite coffee shop at the time. Now it's Siddell's.
Mhm.
We would sit on the patio because you couldn't sit inside. We'd order a nice little glass of wine with our laptops out. Like just,
Mhm.
that was the highlight of our quarantine. And we
Yeah.
just sit there, sip on wine. And by the end of it, when we were coming out of 2020, we were like so tired of drinking wine. We're like,
Mhm.
where are
Oh,
espresso
yeah.
martinis? We hadn't had one in so long. And Alexis and I were like, you know what, tonight we're going to go to the liquor
We're
store.
going to the liquor store
Okay.
and we're going to rampage it. We're going to see where the espresso martinis is because there's
Yeah.
canned
Everything
everything
right
out
now.
there. And so we went and there's hard coffees, of course, but it was
Mhm.
like all filled with dairy. It was like Pabst Blue Ribbon,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stuff that you do not want to
Kahlua.
drink.
We
Like,
bought them all though because
Yeah.
we're like, surely something.
Yeah.
something's got to taste
Someone out
right.
there has had to make something that even resembles an espresso martini at this point
Mhm.
because they're at the time the New York Times article came out. They're the #1 drink in America, and we're
I
like,
saw that.
Still
Yeah.
is.
where is the espresso martini can? So we bought all the hard coffees. We went home. Our night activity was getting tipsy off of hard coffees,
Mhm.
but our stomach hurt so bad. Like we were sick to
Our
our
stomach, your
stomachs.
shared stomach.
Yes.
Y'all are the
our
same
share.
human.
We are the same. We are one.
People always ask if we're sisters or not. Sometimes
Mhm.
I say yes.
I mean,
It's
human
for the
as well.
plot.
Yes. See the
But I mean, I
reaction.
swear some of them were expired because a lot
Yeah.
of them had dairy in them, and ours are dairy-free, gluten-free.
Mhm.
And like the thing behind the gluten-free, I'm slightly gluten intolerant.
Yeah.
So if I drink gluten, I immediately flare up.
Yeah.
I break out into hives. It's just a tragedy.
Or if she drinks like a cheap liquor or like malt alcohol. So honestly, making these, Alexis was a test. It was like if she flares up, it's a no-go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wait 5 minutes. Let's see if my face turns into a tomato.
Yeah, I feel you. That's a great tester to have someone to test on, like an actual guinea pig.
I don't recommend it, but like do recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, after we tried all the hard coffees that were at the liquor store, we were like, okay, there's nothing that even resembles our favorite espresso martini. We should make our own.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Like, that's not like a normal thing to think about. Like, oh, let's just make our own canned cocktail.
I think it's more common now, especially like with the fact women were starting to be more like savvy in business.
Exactly.
I mean, we got the ability to like get a bank account in like the 70s, and we've come a long way since then. I'm really proud of us. So I feel like it's opened all of our minds to be like, we're going to do this or we're going to make this.
100%.
I love how thrifty and crafty women are getting in business in the last even like 20 years. You know what I mean? I'm a huge, that's part of the reason I wanted to have y'all on too, because y'all are woman owned and operated. And I feel like that's really important, or women led, really. Really important. I feel like y'all also have been doing a lot of press about, it's always the headline. Whenever y'all share press, it's always the headline of like 2 Dallas women like create espresso martini in a can or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the reason of that is because less than 2% of women-owned beverages own a canned cocktail.
Okay.
Which it should not be like that whatsoever.
I got you.
So that's kind of like the reason why we're putting those headlines in.
That makes
it's
sense.
Like
it's very rare.
It's very, very rare.
And I mean, whenever we had the idea to do it, it was kind of just like, oh, this is funny. Like, let's do a canned espresso martini. It won't be that hard. Really, I mean, Alexis and I both come from marketing and PR backgrounds. So we're like, if we know we make a good product and we know how to market it, then it should be easy. Which, I mean, I think ignorance was truly bliss at the beginning.
We were very naive.
Whenever we first started, after having all our hard coffees and we were kind of tipsy, we're like, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go find a really good bartender, and he's going to whip up our favorite espresso martini, and then somehow we're going to mass produce it in a can, which is exactly the opposite of what it is.
I mean, we actually like talked to bartenders, and they're like, can you whip this up in a can? That is not how it works. There's so much legal that goes into it.
Yeah.
pH testing. There's like people in lab coats doing all the things.
It's a science.
It's literally a science.
So let's go back to starting it. First of all, let's go back a little bit further. How long have y'all been besties?
So we've been besties for 8 years now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do
I still like you?
And you work together. That's like a lot.
We work together.
We were actually co-workers first.
Okay.
So we worked at a national PR agency about 8 years ago. And then we went our separate ways. I worked for a watch company, and Nicole worked for a boutique PR agency.
Okay.
But we still remain friends. So I think it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
It's like we were coworkers first and then friends second.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of times it's hard going into a business with like your best friend because egos get in the way. Everything gets in the way.
Well, you've never seen each other in that zone before too. It's like a completely different relationship, and y'all started seeing each other work and how each other works. You know?
Exactly. We knew how each other worked, and we chaired on some charity committees together. So it's like, okay, we know how to work together. We thought of this idea, and we just, did it.
Yeah, that was the number one thing. I think a lot of people go into business with their besties, which can be really hard. I mean, you always hear horror stories, but I mean, like Alexis mentioned, we knew how to work together really well. So whenever we had this idea, we knew we could work together with it. Obviously, there's always going to be something, but at this point, even though we're not sisters, we're basically sisters at this point. We work together, we travel together. People ask if we live together, which we actually don't.
Plot twist.
Plot twist, we don't.
I mean, you can't do absolutely everything together.
I know.
Yeah.
That's also like the scary
We
part
kill
of
each
like
other.
starting a business with your significant other. I feel
Oh,
like it's a similar
It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
But you do live together and you're also banging.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different kind of relationships going on in one person.
I feel like I'd be thinking about work like while having sex.
Yeah. I mean, I am usually thinking about work while having sex, even though I don't work with my partner.
I'd be like,
but at least I can't talk to him about it. Like I can't be like,
exactly.
he doesn't know if
like,
I even tried to talk to him.
I'd
He
be
doesn't
like,
know what I'm
stop.
saying.
Wait, did we get this done?
I had an idea. In the
I have
height
an
of
idea.
passion.
Are you about to peek?
I'm inspired. Yeah, it reminds me of that. I guess best friends. It's good that y'all don't live together.
Oh my
yeah.
That'd be probably too much.
It's true. I mean, we work out at 5 a.m. together, so we basically only don't see each other when we sleep.
I wanted to talk about that. Y'all both are early risers.
We are. I never was at first.
Did that start because you're like, okay, I'm going to be like the owner of this company and I need to like get my shit together? Like it just lets you get started on the day. I feel like every time I hear something about a CEO, they get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Was that the inspiration or is that just,
no?
Did the 5 a.m. come before?
The 5 a.m. came before. So right after quarantine, right when the gyms open, I made a pact to myself. Like it was almost like a mental challenge.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to start waking up at 5 a.m. I want to start working out. Like everybody resets during quarantine.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I will start working out at 5 a.m. And then I just kept it up. And it's so great because from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., I'm not getting bothered with emails. I'm not getting bothered with phone calls. So it's kind of almost like a downtime for me.
And you can also like get ahead
exactly.
of things. Yeah, when you're up early like that.
Exactly.
It's the best. I mean, I used to wake up, being in PR, I would rise to emails, texts. Like I would just rise to anxiety. And getting up early just gives me that time to kind of just chill.
Relax.
Which is so nice.
So that's how I felt being on the East Coast. Even waking up at like 8, it was like most of my managers and my team for the podcast are all on the West Coast. So I'd wake up and I would have like 2 hours or so before they started getting up, which was just me being on the East Coast. I was still waking up at like 8.
That's a good excuse though.
It was amazing. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And they weren't like, I was just like getting ahead of any problems that could come up that day and just like getting my work done early without anyone like bothering me.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
And
but
especially right now because it's just the two of us. I mean, we wear so many hats. We have our heads in a lot of buckets. So it's kind of nice to plan out our day and compartmentalize our day to the point where we're like, okay, we are going to take on this day versus the day is taking on me, which in my past, the day's always taken me on.
Yes. And so part of your way of doing that is getting up early, getting the workout done, keeping that promise to yourself. I always say, like, I've learned this just throughout years and it's pretty obvious to people who are older, but it took me a while to realize that like confidence is really just trusting yourself to do, whatever you promised yourself you're going to do. So when you say that, I'm sure it made you just like feel better and stronger and more confident at the end of the day.
And that's why I say it was almost like a mental challenge. It wasn't even about work in the beginning. Because this was before Après hours. It was a mental challenge where it's like, I always love to challenge myself. And so waking up at that 5 a.m., it was almost like a check mark. Yeah. It's like, when people make their bed and it's like a check mark. So like working out at 5 a.m., it was a check mark for me.
Yeah.
And I was never a morning person whatsoever.
I'm honestly still not. It's just funny because it's the hardest part of every single day in my head that I know is just getting out of bed at 4:30 or getting out of bed at 4:45. And if I can do that, the rest of my day, things can happen. It's like, you know what? I feel like I conquered something that was really challenging already. I can figure out like nothing.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I worked out at 5:15 a.m. this morning, but I also woke up at 5:03.
Yeah.
So I wake up out of bed, jump into my gym clothes, brush my teeth, and I go to the gym. Like I don't go to gyms that are less than 3 minutes away from me.
Okay, yeah.
Or else I won't make it.
And you made it convenient for yourself and easy to succeed at this.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not like the peppy girls we are at 9 a.m. We are zombies walking into our 5 a.m. workout.
I mean, when we first started working out at this one gym, our trainer was like, are you and Nicole friends?
Yeah. Are you guys fighting?
We're silent.
Yeah, we're absolutely silent.
We talk to each other all day. This is our time to not speak.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. That's how Joe and I are sometimes. Like we'll sit down for dinner and like we're both on our phones and it's like we've been together all day. This like looks bad, but we've been together all day.
Yeah.
Like I promise we like each other, but like I need a second to get on my
like,
phone.
I don't know what to talk about right now.
Yeah. Well, I commend that because I have a trouble getting out of bed at 8:30 in the morning. I'm like, this is the hardest part of my day. Just get out of bed. It's so like cozy and warm. And I'm just a tired girl. That's just who I am.
I'm a tired girl too.
I mean, y'all created espresso martinis in a can, so
that's why
you're like, we were tired girls.
That might be the trick.
Yeah, it literally is the trick. It's the cure. So let's talk about starting the company. You said you're in quarantine. You're trying to find something that resembles your favorite martini that you love. So how did everything start? I know you said you guys just like looked at each other one day and you were like, let's make it.
Yes.
So what steps are we taking after that? Like what was your initial process of like just trying to make this real?
Yeah. So, I mean, we looked at each other. We said we'd make it. Like I said, we thought we could go to a bartender and they could whip up something. Mm-hmm. But I think for us, we're like, okay, realistically, like what are our steps? If we look forward 2 years from now where we are now, we have a company, we have production, we have all these things. What's step one that we could do to see if this is even something that Alexis and Nicole can do?
Yeah.
So we literally sat down the next morning. We're like, all right, let's see if we can do this. We made a list of people in the industry.
It's like we made a list of tasks, people, and we met with them, of course. We made it a mission to meet with them. Coffee, happy hour, whatever, reaching out to them.
Yeah. And what kind of people are you talking about on this list?
Hospitality people. Yeah. A lot of people in the industry. So because we were in marketing and PR, I did PR for alcohol brands. Alexis and I worked on restaurants together. We just knew people who would potentially know people to lead us towards the right direction to say, hell yes, go for it, or hell no, you guys need to stay in marketing and PR. Don't quit your day job. So we made a list of people and we met with every single one of them. Like we made a point. We put dates on the calendar, met with every single person, and those people ended up connecting us to the right people who had been in the industry for forever in order to kind of get this off the ground. We met with one person specifically who had been in the industry for forever, and when we sat down and met with him, he was like, you know what? This industry really does need change. There's no females in the industry.
I was about to ask, was it mostly males that you're sitting down
no
with?
females.
We only meet with males.
Yeah.
He goes, you guys look like espresso martinis.
That was really the game changer for me.
Yeah. You're like, he gets it. He gets the vision.
Like,
and then he also was like, and then I can see you guys have a new approach, which is kind of what this industry needs. Like everything is very old school. Everyone does things very traditionally. I do things very traditionally because it works.
Yeah,
but you guys,
it's like sexualizing women. You know, everybody in the bikinis, like doing all of those ads. I'm not going to name anybody specifically. But
I mean, it's
all of them.
Yeah.
But everybody
I'm not going to name anyone, but it's all of them.
But we wanted to create a new approach and something that people could relate to as well.
I also like that it's something that it's definitely, like you said, it's something that was missing for people like us who want to enjoy themselves, but we're also like, I don't want to like completely throw out, like, I don't want to be drinking Kahlua every day.
Exactly.
Or every weekend and like having like 6 Kahlua drinks.
Exactly.
Because I mean, I'm not even lactose intolerant, but I would be like, I would be so sick. But I like that y'all created this. It's approachable and it's accessible for people. And the can is really what like does that. You know what I mean?
110% alcohol. Boom.
And for us too, because we do come from...
You're like, that was important to me.
That was very important.
The alcohol percentage, very important. Also, the espresso shot was very important. But we really wanted to create something that, one, we felt proud holding. Everything out there was just kind of like very blah marketing, very blah, just branding, aesthetic, branding overall.
It's like, I mean, to her point, you want to hold something that you feel proud of. I mean, think about like when you were posting espresso martinis.
Yes.
Like it's the aesthetic.
It is.
Like you're
chic,
you're at a beautiful bar. It's sexy. I'm going to post this espresso martini.
Yeah.
We wanted that same feeling when you're holding our can.
Yeah.
Post our picture. make it sexy, make you feel like women empowerment. Like I feel good holding this drink.
Yes. I just heard something on, I think it was on the Him and Her podcast. I don't know who they recorded with, but they were talking about this exact thing with beverages. Like people, it's part of like your own personal brand, whatever you're drinking, and everyone's so aesthetic focused nowadays, especially with social media, that like they want to align themselves with something like this, because I love y'all's branding. It's so good. So let's talk about all that. When did you start developing branding? Like what steps were coming after you're kind of networking and trying to ask people kind of like, is this worth it?
So I think right away we started branding because that's what we were good at. We both came from marketing and PR backgrounds. So we were like, you know, branding is very, very important to us. So we put together mood boards, exactly what we wanted, this aesthetic. And then we met with, you know, our creative agency, kind of told them what we want. We went through probably about 5 different revisions with them.
Okay.
And then came out with the right one.
Okay. It's funny because we're actually about to launch with a completely different branding.
Oh, it was terrible.
I think you told me this.
And
you told me this one.
Alexis and I,
we haven't launched that yet.
We'll do it.
We can do it to you.
We'll reveal it in a couple years, honestly.
Okay.
But
awful.
it was so bad. And I think it's funny because working with your best friend, we didn't want to step on each other's toes, but in our heads we were like, this is terrible. Like, this is not it.
You're not
for
communicating.
us. We both knew. And then finally one day I kind of was like, okay, so I don't know how I feel about this. And Alexis looked at me and she was like, I'm so happy you said something. I feel the same. And we completely scratched it, threw everything out the door, had to rebrand completely. Luckily, we didn't launch we are still a couple of months behind from the launch process. So we had time to rebrand, but it's just things like that. There's so many things behind the scenes that nobody knows about. And it's just so different than what people see today. But
I think there's something with so let's talk about timeline, because I know myself from like just creating clothing, which is pretty simple to make by comparison. Though it is really expensive. Like each thing is super expensive. There's not a lot of front loading, but you just pay throughout the process, right? So manufacturing clothing, everything took so much longer than I had like the timeline in my mind. Like they would be like, okay, it's gonna be ready in 8 weeks. And I'm like, sick, 8 weeks. And then next thing I know, it's like 16 fucking weeks. And they're like, oh, okay, we're just getting the tags on. We're doing this. I'm like, I hate everybody. And then like there's always defect, like the items are not perfect, or I show up and I'm like, I'm so excited to pick this up and they're all wrong, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like there's so much just human error on the back end and timelines being pushed. So let's talk about, like, you'll have the idea, you start meeting with people. How long did it take before you're like, okay, now let's get into branding? Like,
so we started meeting people with probably October of 2020, so I guess almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy. But we started meeting with people. That was like a couple month process. And then February 2021, we created our LLC and we're like, all right, we're doing this. We had the name, we had the idea of what type of branding we wanted, and we're like, all right, we're going to go for this. So what came from that was, now it's time to meet with our factories, manufacturers, co-packers, kind of we basically speed dated like all of these different facilities.
It was speeding. That is
it was speed dating.
And did you find them through the contacts you had met and talked to? Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, we visited some in Texas, but we ultimately ended up going with a facility in California, just because at the time we were still quarantined. So it was so hard to get cans, aluminum. Like there were so many things that were out of stock or back ordered that we had to really think about. So luckily we found a really great partner out of California, and they were like, we could help you. We're still behind like everyone else, but we're pretty ahead of the game as far as the rest of America goes. So we're like, all right, like we just want to kind of get this going. So we ended up going with them. But before that, whenever we found our co-packer, we're like, all right, flavor. Like this is the most important thing. People are going to love the branding. We know that. But now we have to figure out
flavor,
taste that everyone loves. We were going to launch with just one espresso martini too at the time. So we ended up meeting not with a bartender, but a flavor house. Before we met with the flavor house, Alexis goes, I feel like I'm walking to Willy Wonka's factory.
It really seems like everybody was in lab coats.
In lab
coats.
Like,
what is going on?
It's super official, yeah.
And with that, I mean, we tried 27 different flavors. And being from like Texas to California, it was them sending us stuff, us critiquing to the point where it was like, this is a little bit too much vanilla. And like, it was absolutely
went back
crazy.
and forth for a long time.
Went back and crazy. Yeah. It was just insane. So 27 different flavors. But we ultimately got to the flavors that we wanted. So we nailed classic down. And then we realized, you know, we need different flavors. Obviously, everybody has a different
palate.
Palate profile. So we're like, okay, let's do salted caramel and vanilla. And so actually we were going to launch, which actually nobody knows this. We were going to do a lavender espresso martini. And
which I don't know why, because lavender is sleepy. Lavender makes me think sleepy, but at the time we were like, lavender. Like everyone loves lavender lattes.
It tasted like soap.
Oh, God. Was that one of the 27 flavors that you tried?
Yes, it was.
That was like 27, and we were like, absolutely not. We're not doing lavender. That tastes like
we
so
tasted
bad.
one sample, and we're like, absolutely not.
So we X'd the lavender, but you know, it could come back one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. What about like a mocha?
Ooh, mocha.
That's a popular flavor.
We want to do holiday flavors next year.
We do have a lot.
That would be huge.
Yes.
Well, you know, you can do with like the classic. Obviously, you could just like mix it into a holiday cocktail anyway. That's what I'll be doing.
100%.
We make ice cream floats out of it.
Affogatos.
So good. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But yes, we have
so many things you can do with them.
We have a lot lined up for next year as far as flavors.
So y'all are So let's say you create your LLC February 2021.
Yes, we find our co-packer. End of March, Flavor House, end of March, and we kind of look at each other and we're like, okay, we have basically everything set up. Now it's just the process, and it was kind of to the point where like, okay, now we have to kind of start meeting with investors. Like this is a very expensive industry.
That's a tough one.
So at this point, were y'all like self-funded?
Yes. Okay. So at this point, we're self-funded. Again, there really wasn't that much we had to put up front besides branding. And then everything else was just kind of speed dating everyone else to find the right partners.
And are you at this time working still full time? Okay.
Yes. So April 2021, we're going to Houston in the middle of the week. We're going to California.
And our current jobs did not know that.
Our current jobs did not know that.
Yeah. And obviously, unfortunately, COVID was an excuse.
Yeah,
like, oh, I have
unfortunately.
COVID.
We're working from,
I can't come to work for 10 weeks.
Oh, God.
So we did
We took work from home to
another level.
Another level. We were on flights working from home.
Yeah, we did secret missions to California, Houston.
I love that secret missions.
It was like, do not post
anything.
It was honestly actually really fun.
Turn off your Find My Friend.
Yeah, friends, we're at home.
Literally secret missions.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we took those secret missions, and
in April we were kind of like, all right, now it's time to quit our jobs. Like this is the time we have to actually go all in.
Take the lead.
Especially because we kind of started having those investor conversations a little bit. And the first question everyone asked us was, is this your full-time job? And at the time we're like, yes. Yes. Question mark. And they're like, all right, contact me like when you're all in. And we're like, oh shit. Okay.
And
like,
keep
it's
in
time.
mind too, we did not tell any of our friends.
No.
We told like a select few.
Okay.
But we did not tell any of our friends we were doing this. Launched our LLC February.
Yeah.
We did not tell anybody until probably July. So that was like
not one soul.
This was like
very
real secret missions.
Kept secret.
Yeah.
And that's very hard for women to keep secrets like that. So we just knew we didn't want any outside influences.
That was the number one thing. The outside influence. People don't do things all the time because You
That's
listen to the
super smart.
noise, especially as females, you listen to the noise. Like a lot of people look for other people to kind of get that validation, like you should do it. And luckily enough, we had each other. So that was validation enough. We went back and forth. We're like, we're going to do it. If we have a hard day, we are confused about something, we can talk about it with each other.
Yeah.
And that was the best part about it.
With like people who knew what they were doing
Exactly.
too. And you were getting validation from people who know rather than just like fucking Nancy on the street, like who doesn't have any idea what they're talking about.
I mean, you get haters, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you get people that think that they know everything about the business, or they are like, you should do these flavors, or you should do
a
this
lot of
brand.
opinions.
Oh yeah, we just didn't want any outside
many
noise.
different opinions, so we didn't want that outside noise.
Smart.
So we didn't tell anybody for 6 months.
Okay, cool. That's huge.
Yeah.
So April, we quit our jobs. And
what did you tell people when you were quitting your job?
You know, I'm just consulting. I'm going to start my own business someday. And he said, well, what are you going to do? I think I told him I was going in the medical field.
I just told everyone I was freelancing.
Yeah. Which is not
I'm freelancing.
what I was doing. I mean, I didn't even graduate college, so he was probably thinking,
I'm going to work in medicine. I'm actually going to be a doctor. So.
I'm going to be a nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone for the longest time thought we were starting like a marketing firm, social media, PR event, anything that related to our previous jobs. Nothing obviously to do with alcohol. I don't think in a million years Alexis and I ever thought we would be in the alcohol industry.
Yeah. I mean, we drank alcohol, but never thought we'd actually work in the industry.
Yeah, I feel you. So you're talking to investors.
Yes.
Now we're on the investor part.
So
how did that go?
At first, it was very intimidating. I will be honest, especially being two younger females.
I think at the time I was 25, you were 27.
I was 27.
Yeah.
So it was very intimidating. We had never pitched before, obviously. We did not come from business backgrounds.
Yeah.
So meeting with these people, mostly males, it was very, very intimidating, but they understood that females needed to be in this market, especially after giving those statistics as well.
Yeah, I got you.
So it was hard, but we finally finished our round.
Yeah.
And this was 2 years.
So what did this look like? Like, are you walking into a room of like 6 dudes?
So I imagined whenever we first started that we were going to be walking to a boardroom.
Like Shark Tank.
That's what I imagined.
To faint in a chair and fake a heart attack or something. But that was not the case. We usually met for coffee.
Okay.
Showed them our deck. And then kind of went from there.
Okay.
And then usually it takes a while.
How long is a while, would you say?
I would say about like 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
For
Lots
them to
of
really,
back and forth conversations.
for them to really go into the brand. So we're just in a waiting game.
Yeah, I feel you.
And so that's why it took us so long to get money.
How long did it take?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
It took us 2 years to completely finish our round as in raising what we wanted to raise. I think at the beginning, when we first started telling people, mainly investors, they're kind of like, cute idea, but are you two actually going to do it?
Yeah.
Like, cool, you quit your job, but like, what does that mean? Like, it takes a lot to get an idea into market. So I think for us, it was just, we believed in the product so much, we believed in ourselves so much, that once we found the right partners, people kind of started catching on to that. They're like, they're so confident about this espresso martini. They know how to market. Like, we really knew how to market. We know branding, and we're all in. And I think people bought into us.
That too.
Yeah, people bought into us more than anything. And that was just a confidence booster within itself. When someone's not buying into your product and what you're selling, they're buying into you.
Yeah. Well, you're getting validation from the right people. Like, money is not going to lie to you.
Exactly.
It's not your mom. It's not your friends. Like, they're not investing in you because they like your hair. You know what I mean? Or whatever. They think you're sweet. They're investing in you because they know it's your good at making money or whatever idea you have, whether it's this idea or more in the future. That's what they're buying into. I've heard that all the time when it comes to investor conversation.
I mean, you hear all the time, and it is so completely true. They are investing in you.
Yeah.
Of course,
not the product.
Of course, the product too, but not the product. They're investing in the people that are running the business.
Yeah.
So if you go in there and you're passionate and you're and you say, you know what, I'm going to kill this business.
Yeah.
Failure's not
I'll do anything. Yeah.
Live, breathe this. Then there's no chance for them to say no.
Yeah. I got you.
We basically sat down and we were like, we're going to do this. We know it's going to be successful and nobody's going to outwork us. So
and if you don't want it, then
someone else will. So how did you go about meeting investors? Are they coming from these people that you initially met with like in all those months ago?
Yes. It was all networking.
Okay.
Networking is so very important. I mean, even from our first list that we initially did, it's ask those people, hey, do you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that would want to invest or give us advice?
We met with every single person.
Yeah.
Every single person.
So also when you're meeting with people on that list, because this is something I know I've gotten asked about and something I'm interested in too, is kind of the networking aspect of it all. Like, are you sending these people initially an email being like, can I take you to coffee? Can I do this and ask you questions? Are they immediately open to that? Are some of them like, like not really worth my time? Did they get something in return? Like what was going on with those?
So I think we cold reached out to everyone, whether it's an email and mainly Instagram DMs. We DM'd a lot of people.
We slid into our DMs.
Yeah.
But I think at the time too, it was quarantine. Like people were bored. Like typically busy people weren't that busy at the time. So, and I also think it's very flattering, especially when people reach out to us. I'm sure when people reach out to you, like they want advice on how you got to where you are. It's kind of like, oh, that's very flattering. Like I would love to take the time to kind of help and like be a part of that journey if you make it somewhere. So a lot of people were really open just to having a conversation with us and gearing us in the right direction, whether it was people or just conversation or their opinions. A lot of people had opinions. A lot of people who we met with told us we shouldn't do it, and we still did it.
That was the first conversation we actually had.
They said don't do it.
They said don't do it, and then
were you heartbroken?
We were heartbroken, but then we were like, screw you.
Yeah.
But then also a screw you, because 7 months later he asked if he could invest.
Were you like, no? Or were you like, yeah, sure?
No, we actually said you had your chance, and
oh my God,
we absolutely love you, but
that is so sick.
I mean, that's just how you have to be, especially as women. You can't let these men walk all over you.
Yeah.
You
and
said
just be
no.
Sweet and,
you see that we have traction now, and you did not believe in us at first. So now that we have traction, no, you're not going to come in here. He's like a follower at that point. Oh, well, now you told us not to do it. It's a waste of your time. It's not worth it. But now you want in 7 months later when you see traction.
It was almost like, okay, you said we can't do it. Well, now I'm going to want to do it even more. And it like that moment of him coming back saying he wanted to invest, it was kind of like, wow, that's cool. Like we did something someone told us we couldn't do.
Okay, so we met with investors. You're getting, I don't understand how a round works. So you go through and you try to meet a certain goal.
Exactly.
Does money start coming in like immediately once someone approves it? So it's not like you get everything at once.
Right.
Okay.
So you meet with investors. We give them a timeline of when they can invest.
Okay.
And then once they hit that timeline, obviously they have to put the money in or else the contract fails.
Yeah.
But every single one that we approved, we were very picky about who we wanted to invest to.
Yeah.
We wanted people that believed in us and that had the right connections with us, that knew our goal and our mission and female-founded espresso martinis. And then,
Yeah, I think with investors, a lot of people, which, I mean, we've seen all the horror movies, we've listened to all the podcasts, we really listened to all the podcasts at the beginning, learn all the horror stories, but you really have to not take every dollar that's thrown at you and really be strategic with who you pick and who's on your side, because at the end of the day, you don't want it to be something you resent or someone who's trying to take over or run your business. We just want like cheerleaders who we can go to for advice, go to for mentorship, go to towards for legal advice, like anything and everything. It's almost like they are our mentors at the end of the day, which has been really cool.
It's not just a wallet.
Right. Exactly.
Almost more invaluable as their advice.
Exactly. We did not want to just accept money from people. You don't have to talk to us every day, but if we need advice, we want you to help us with it.
And they're a part of the company now.
Exactly. And you care, important. You tell your friends about it, you tell your family about it. So that was very important to us.
So you're doing your investment round. So where are we in the timeline now? Like, you're telling your friends about it. It's like June. Your friends. So what happens after that? Because that was about a year ago.
So we start telling our friends. We start raising a little bit of money. We both had quit our jobs at this time. And now we're kind of like, all right, we just finished nailing our flavors probably June, July of last year. And we're like, all right, we're ready to go.
Like, we are ready.
We're going to launch this thing.
These flavors are delicious. I mean, we were drinking them.
You're all in. You're still on a high too.
We thought we were going to launch exactly a year ago today, honestly. Last October. We launched August 1st of
this year.
Okay,
so what happened? Did like the reality of creating?
The reality of production.
Yes.
I think we came out of quarantine and everything was behind.
And then, I mean, COVID happened again.
Yes.
And so our factories are in California. So they all shut down November, December. And that's when we were supposed to launch.
Disaster.
And then we launched our brand already, which honestly was a blessing in disguise. And so then after that, they reopened, but obviously things take time with production. And then
we decided to go with one of the largest co-packers in the West Coast, and we are a teeny tiny brand to them at the time. So like everything that's back ordered, we're like back ordered
behind all the big ones.
Exactly. We would reach out and be like, hey, what's up? And they'd be like, all right, like,
who are you?
Come again.
So what is a co-packer? Let's rewind there. What does that mean?
So they're the ones who have the can. They basically put our product together.
Okay. Got it.
So they have the cans, they create the formulas.
Okay.
They have the whole production system, and then they send, once all of that is completed with sleeves, boxing, everything you can imagine from the trays. There's so much that goes into it that people don't realize. But once that is completed, they send that to our distributors.
Okay, got it.
So there's
and then
just
you also
a
have to get into
line
a production line. Yeah, there's just a lot. That, I mean, it's the same with you and your clothing brand. Like there's just, they say 8 weeks and then it's 3 months and you're like, oh,
there's so much legal though with alcohol, I'm sure.
That too. That also took a really long time. So whenever we changed our even packaging, we had to resubmit everything through legal. And there's not even like a contact you can reach out to. You basically just submit it on this website and they're like,
it's kind of like I compare it to like the passport agency.
Well, it's like a government agency. I mean, it's like the same thing.
Who do you reach out to?
I am having the hardest time getting my license renewed. And it's taken me it's been expired for like 3 years, because every time I go to the DMV, they tell me something different. I come with the right forms or whatever it said on the website. And then they're like, actually, we can't, you have to get this new form. And I'm like, okay, well, can I do that right now? They're like, no, you actually have to come back. And I'm like, okay, the next appointment's in 6 months. Like, how long can I go without a license without something horrible happening? But
I feel like the DMV should do a haunted house.
It already is a haunted house.
It is a haunted house.
They might as well just decorate it.
Literally.
And be like, welcome to our haunted house. You're already in it. And
you're already here. It has been miserable and no one knows what's going on. So I can't, and everything takes so
long. It's just all the approvals, all the legal, With alcohol, it's a whole other situation of steps.
Like
and
safety and
safety.
You're consuming. Yeah.
Everything. Even like as to the size of the font we have on the cans is like a legal thing. Like everything is very, 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 very to the detail.
So it all took, I guess, like kind of instilling your workflow and like getting started really is like a huge hump.
Oh, of course.
Because after that, I mean, you guys have faced challenges already, so when they come up again, it's easy, and now you can like streamline things way better. It's just getting over the initial.
Right. I mean, we went into production again, and it was the most seamless thing I've ever done. Which is crazy because last time
all
it
the
took
waiting.
so long.
Last time it took a year and a half.
This time it took 2 months. So it just,
I feel like it was so much waiting. You're waiting on investors. You're waiting on getting stuff back from creative even. Like you're
I
just
think
waiting.
that's the worst part of it for Alexis and I. We're both like, we always have to be on the go. I mean, we're fueled by espresso martinis, caffeine, pre-workout, whatever it is. And
you're up at 5 a.m. like you got a lot of time in the day.
And all we have to do is just, we're like, hurry up and wait. Okay. And it was just constant waiting. And I think that was the hardest part for us. But
so what do you do during the waiting period then? Like what were y'all doing when you're waiting on all this stuff?
We were planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really planning for campaigns, collaborations.
Yeah.
Really everything that we could plan for as far out as we could.
That's kind of a blessing then, because that's so important.
It was 100% a blessing in disguise. I think Alexis mentioned earlier, but we launched our brand, I think in November of last year, thinking we were going to launch December, January. And when we launched the brand, we were kind of like, oh no, like we put it out there. We can't just stop. We have to keep the momentum going. People are excited. So we ended up launching merch.
Yes, I'm wearing some of the merch right
now. You up?
And both of y'all are.
We ended up launching merch, which is crazy because we launched beanies, we launched crew necks, hoodies, hats, all the things. And people loved it. I think there's this just like, there's some sort of little espresso martini culture. Like if you love an espresso martini, you're a part of like the espresso martini club and like you just love them.
I love it. I love it.
So people really got behind that. And also we were like, we want to do some sort of fun campaign on our social media where we can keep people interested. And also, we're nobody. People don't know who Après Hours is. So let's associate Après Hours with espresso martinis.
Yeah.
So we launched a campaign on our social media where it was espresso martini ratings. So
I saw that. I watched those. Yeah.
When restaurants started opening, Alexis and I literally went to every single restaurant. We traveled, went to restaurants, and people started rating espresso martinis and tagging us.
Smart.
It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
People
just
still
because
do now.
The first weekend that we did it, it was just a domino effect from there.
So was it like at a 10 scale?
Yes.
So what's your favorites in Dallas then?
Favorites in Dallas? Beverly's.
I knew you were going to say Beverly's. Do you like the orange?
I love the
orange.
I think that's what
I would say
everyone's told me that.
second is the Charles.
I love the
Charles martinis.
What is the place right next to Carbone? It's
Tango
like
Room.
Tango Room. They have such good martinis in general.
They have good martinis in general.
But their espresso, like I would say like my perfect night in Dallas would be going to Tango Room for drinks and then going to Carbone
Did
for
you
dinner.
go last night?
No, I really wanted to, but I went to Vino and got a drink instead. But yeah, you got like they have like the frozen or like the chilled martini glasses, which is just always the extra touch that I love.
It really is.
And they're like full up to the brim, like almost coming over the brim. I'm like, this is perfect.
Did they have the 3 beans?
I think that they did.
Do you know
I can't
what that
remember.
Means?
It's a good one.
Do you know it means health, wealth, and happiness?
Oh, the 3 beans.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you make that up or is that a thing?
No,
it's a thing.
That's
actually
really.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So it's supposed to sprinkle in health, wealth, and happiness.
Well, it's a fun fact. I'm sure not many people know that.
So.
But I know the 3 beans is important. I just didn't know why it was important. So now I know. I'm glad.
Get a little health, get a little happiness. We get a little wealth. There we go. And amen.
And amen. Well, one thing I will say too, I've really admired about y'all's journey is how active you are in your community. You know what I mean? Like I remember I tried to meet up with you once when I was coming to Dallas or something, or maybe I was living here, and you were like
in Vegas.
Yeah, right. You're like, you said you were pushing around the Après cart.
Yes.
Like you're just doing so much out and getting it in
Yeah,
people's hands. When did you start doing that kind of stuff?
We started doing that probably March. March of last year.
Okay.
Or March of this year.
This year, yeah.
Year it is.
And you went to like we just said, you went to SMU recently.
SMU. We did the Katy Trail if you live in Dallas. We just wanted people
We're everywhere.
we want people to associate espresso martinis with Après hours. And vice versa. So if you're drinking an espresso martini, we want Après hours to come to mind.
Yeah, that sounds, I mean, y'all's socials did a really good job of that. I feel like you kind of went into the, not only the trendiness and like kind of the forever living of the espresso martini, let's be honest, because I know it was like big in the 90s and like it's made this crazy resurgence.
Kate Moss,
but also
thank you.
Yes, also the like the old money aesthetic kind of thing. I remember y'all's like tennis shoe, like that was really cute. You kind of dove in to both of those things that were like really and still are really of the time, I guess, and took advantage of that. Huge.
Yeah, and I think for us, I mean, yes, we're in alcohol, but it's so big for us to just also be a lifestyle brand. Like I said, we launched merch, which we love. We don't want to just be associated with drinking. Yeah. We have friends who literally don't drink, who like wear stuff and like say Après hours lifestyle, just because it's like,
it's more than
just a drink. It's more than alcohol. It's more than an espresso martini. We kind of have this, like we talked about at the beginning, this female push behind us that we're really trying to cultivate and really encourage other women to just shake things up. I mean, that's literally our tagline. It's time to shake things up and do whatever you want, no matter what industry you're in. So it's more for us whenever we launch, we're like, this is our time to really push. When we launched the brand, we're like, this is our time to push everything else besides the drink because we don't have it yet.
Smart.
So, and I think that was honestly a blessing in disguise because we really got to showcase what Après hours is about outside of the espresso martini itself.
What I love about food and beverage in general is like it can complement any experience too.
Exactly.
So it goes along really well. Like this kind of thing goes along really well in any situation. Like I just love the act of like the dining experience, for example, where I sit down with someone, I get a drink, we get some coffee, we got food, we got dessert, like the whole entire luxurious experience. And it doesn't have to be expensive or anything, but it just feels like European and luxurious. And this, I mean, any beverage, and especially this one, can really accent any kind of special moment that you're having in your life.
Oh yeah, it's so great because even on social media, we've seen people like do crazy cool things at home with them, and it just, I think we're in an era where it's like romanticize your own life type of thing. So whenever you're home, wherever you are, it's a convenient way to just make life at home not be boring. Like you romanticize your life. You can have that espresso martini that you would get at Tango Room in your chill glass. You can chill your glass in your fridge. You can make your little affogato float. Like there's so many things we've seen people do, and it just have fun with it, and that's honestly what's so important to us and kind of our point. It's like you can romanticize your life and be convenient with this Après hours versus having to go and pay the $20 espresso martini cocktail.
Oh, I bought a $20 cocktail.
$1,000 espresso martini.
Literally, I got a Tito soda last night and it was $21. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now?
Are we in New York?
Like, what is happening? What is happening? I'm
in Vegas.
Exactly.
But that's why we want to create such beautiful branding. I mean, you take pictures of these espresso martinis. We want that at home too. Like if you're laying in bed, if you're watching a movie, take a picture of Après hours and feel luxurious in your own home. Yeah,
I just did an episode with Joe, actually. It came out today. But if you're listening to this on the
you,
Thursday,
Joe.
Right? Joseph, we love him.
Shout out.
The whole episode was me reading people's simple pleasures.
Yeah.
Because like to get like a little inspo, and there are all these like little things, like let's say chilling your glass in your fridge, little things you can do for yourself, just that make you feel like more chic and elevated in your life. So that's like a huge part of my personal brand, and I like to hear that y'all are doing the same thing.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I love that.
So let's talk about where people can get Après hours. How do you get this in your hands?
We are available in 38 states.
Okay.
So you can order online, and then also in retail in Texas, we are in Total Wine and
I
specialty
saw that.
stores.
That was recent,
Yes,
right?
we just launched
Yeah.
in Total Wine last
That's so
week.
exciting.
We're so
We're
excited.
very excited.
Are you
about
in
that.
Total Wines like all across Texas?
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
cool. And it's
So
Après
go
hours.
on and get that.
Yeah, so if you go to drinkaprehours.com, we have a store locator, so you can kind of find wherever Après Hours is closest to you.
And then y'all's favorite flavors, what are they?
I would say.
Or what's your
salted-
ranking? Yeah.
Okay. My ranking is
Mhm.
salted
It's like
caramel.
picking a favorite child.
I
Yeah.
know
It's
it
hard.
is. This is difficult.
You're like going for it. You're like, actually,
Alexis is
no problem.
She has no problem.
I feel
I'm like, my
passionate.
baby.
yeah.
Okay, so my ranking is salted caramel,
Mhm.
classic, and vanilla.
Okay, cool.
But our top seller is classic.
That actually makes sense. That's
I
what I'm
like-
drinking right
I
now.
like to get above the norm.
Mm-hmm.
I love classic. I'm
Okay.
a classic espresso martini girl.
Mm-hmm.
But
Classic bitch.
I'm a classic bitch. But classic, and then I would say salted caramel. I probably drink the most second. But it also just depends. Like if I am in a sweeter mood.
Depends on the mood.
She's
Vanilla.
not sweet.
She's the more
Alexis
bitter.
is my evil twin.
This is
Yeah.
false.
So how do you also drink yours? Like, what's your ideal way to drink this? Is it in a chill glass at home? What do you think?
So we've seen, okay, my ideal is
Mhm.
drinking out of a can with a straw.
That's what we're doing now.
I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen a lot of people on Instagram, pour it in espresso martini glasses or martini
yeah.
glasses or pour it over ice cream. They
Mhm.
do their own little concoctions. Obviously, it has 10%, so you don't really need to add
Anything.
that extra alcohol.
Yeah.
But
I've seen a lot of guys pour it in a whiskey glass over ice.
Sexy.
Like a 1 cube kind
Yes,
of thing. Yeah.
which is like,
That
it
is
almost
sexy.
looks like they're drinking whiskey. We went
Yeah.
to a party the other day and brought Après Hours, and a couple of the guys had whiskey glasses, like a big cube,
Mhm.
We should do a
and
party.
espresso martinis.
Yeah.
And they poured Après Hours over it, and I was like, that's hot. Like, wait, I
Yeah.
want that
Yeah.
actually.
I feel like
I
Okay,
prefer
if a
that.
guy was drinking an espresso martini, like a whiskey,
Mm-hmm. That's like
It's sexy.
It is
I
sexy.
would stare at him.
It's like a very masculine way to drink an
significant-
espresso martini.
I have
mean,
a
yeah.
significant other, but I would stare at him and be like, "You're it."
You're like, close your ears, close your
Yeah,
ears.
close your ears.
I think this
He's
one, the
it.
classic, would be so good with like let's say for the holidays, was like some kind of peppermint
Oh hell yeah!
addition. Like if I'm making a little cocktail myself,
Of course.
I just thought of that.
Yeah,
Or,
we
like,
just
mint.
did a little series where we did like fall flavors. So we did
Yeah.
a pumpkin spice
I knew that
espresso
was- yeah.
martini. Everything we did, we went to Whole Foods, so everything was like gluten-free, dairy-free. We used oat milk, we used Oatly ice cream. We did
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
it as healthy as you could be,
Mhm.
and they were delicious.
Really?
Yeah. And then we had like
Delicious.
this hot chef do it.
Yeah. You're like for the aesthetic.
Yeah.
For
It
the
was
brand.
for the aesthetic.
For the aesthetic.
But yeah,
Okay.
we did pumpkin spice espresso martini. We did an affogato espresso
Yeah.
martini, and then we did
I love avocado.
we.
So
They're
good.
so good.
At the
So good.
Charles,
Mhm.
have you had it?
Yes, so
Jesus.
good. Well, I want to also ask my last question.
Oh.
The agave wine.
Yes.
Yes.
Explain that, like choice. Explain what it is, because I've never heard of agave wine before.
When deciding what alcohol to do this with, we tried tequila.
Mm-hmm.
We
We
tried
tried
vodka.
vodka.
Again, gluten allergy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of vodkas are made with gluten. There is a lot without, but traditionally people associate espresso martinis with vodka, and that was
Yeah.
our original plan to do vodka. And personally, we both drink espresso martinis with tequila.
Okay.
Like when we go out, I
That's a
always
big
ask for a
thing.
tequila espresso martini. So for us, kind of backing up, we're like, okay, personally, vodka is really not our thing. So
Yeah.
how do we find that
The
happy
perfect
medium?
mixture.
yeah.
And we were actually at our flavor house, and we were having this conversation. We were like, vodka, tequila. The tequilas we were trying were almost too strong of tequila flavor in
I
a
can
can.
imagine. Yeah.
You didn't want that too strong of tequila or too strong of vodka, because
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it's like almost taking a shot.
Yeah.
So this agave wine is the perfect mixture of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So agave wine is fermented, just not distilled.
Okay.
So it's the same process as
it's
making
the same
tequila, yeah.
process as
Okay.
making tequila.
Okay. That's cool. Well, I think it tastes amazing.
Yeah, so we ended up going with agave wine, and honestly, it's crazy because the people who drink tequila love it. The people who drink vodka love it.
It has like a little bit of a tequila.
It does have a little bit of
taste,
tequila,
but it's not like
finish.
it doesn't taste like tequila, but it like has a little bit of
It still has that sweetness from the agave plant itself because it is fermented, because it doesn't make it to the process of being distilled.
Yeah.
So that's what was also a plus, because we didn't have to add like anything else, because it really had that sweetener from the agave plant itself. So it's just kind of a win-win for us. We knew it was going to be different and that we'd have to explain it, but at the end of the day, it was for the best. Yeah.
I love it.
So where can people find you on social media?
So you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Drink Après Hours.
Okay.
And then you can find us on our website at drinkaprehours.com.
Well, thank y'all so much for coming on. I'm also
Thanks
going to
for
link both
having
of your,
us.
are both your Instagrams public?
Yes.
Okay, I'll link y'all's
Public Girls.
in the show notes, and I'll link the website in the show notes and all the things.
Love it. We're
y'all can go there.
so happy to be on. You're so
I know.
amazing.
We're drinking espresso martinis at we started at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So this is
I mean, it's coffee, so it's
not
appropriate.
judging.
not judging. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.